Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another in our webinar series here at Phoenix Contact. My name is Zachary Stank. I'm the product manager for Control Safety and IO here in the United States. Along with us today and joining us soon is our senior product marketing specialist for IO, Jason Haldeman. We're going to be doing an introduction to advanced configuration of Axial Line F using Startup Plus. Before we start and before I turn it over to Jason, I just want to remind everybody we are on a 20-second delay, so that if you are asking questions in the Q&A and you're not getting the answers immediately, it's probably because we're 20 seconds ahead of you and we may have already passed that topic. So please put your questions in the Q&A. We'll get to them at the end and we'll try to answer them as we go on through this. So I'll try my best to stay on and answer questions as they come up and to put helpful links in the Q&A as well and make announcements as we go. So without further ado, take it away, Jason.
All right, thank you, Zach. All right, so what I want to do today is give you a quick introduction into a software tool called Startup Plus. Any one of you that have configured an Axial Line IO station may be aware of this software. It's an optional software, it's not a requirement, but what the software lets you do is it lets you do advanced configuration of an IO station without having to involve configurations through the PLC or other mechanisms that may be a little bit more difficult. The software tool is a freeware tool, so anytime you go under our website on any one of our bus couplers, if you go under the download section, you can see a download for the Startup Plus. You have to install it. Once you install the software and you load it up, when you open it, it'll look like this. This is a blank screen, and you're able to actually go through and manually configure IO stations, or you can read in configured stations that you have in the system. So what I want to do today is just to give you a quick introduction into an IO station I have wired here. I have already gone through the steps of configuring the IO station. So today's example is a Modbus TCP bus coupler. And on the local bus, I have a DIO16 module and an AI2 AO2. So I have one digital, one analog module. I've already gone through the basic configuration where basically you give it an IP address, you go under the quick setup page, you disable the plug and play mode, and you go in and then you're able to set up the IO station. Actually, double check, I do have that off. I had set the station up, but it looks like I unset the station up. So now I've reset the station up again in my morning testing. Ready. So, all right, so now you can see the run plug and play mode is unchecked. The way the bus coupler works is it reads anything that's connected to it. Once you're done and ready to go, you have all the IO connected, you just uncheck it. It takes that, whatever's currently connected to it, it puts it in its permanent memory, and that's what we expect to see every time the station runs. So the station's ready to go. If your modules require no additional configuration, if you're using our new smart elements, or if you're using standard digital and analog modules that default to the configuration you need, this is it, you're done. If you want to go to that one step further and you want to add additional, more advanced configuration, you want to change the configuration of analog modules, that's where this software runs it. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and launch the Startup Plus software. I'm going to go File, New. When I launch the new, it's going to go down through and ask me what type of bus coupler that I need. For me, I am doing the Axial Line F BKETH. I apologize for the text being slightly cut off. I have poor vision, so I zoom my text a little bit more, and the software doesn't like that I'm doing that. So I selected ETH, or the ETH, which is our Modbus BK. I'm telling it I want to communicate through its Ethernet port. I can communicate through a serial port, which is a direct connection on the top of the bus coupler, but I already have an IP set up, so Ethernet would be a much quicker connection. So I'll select Ethernet. I know its IP address, so I'm just going to go ahead and type in 192.168.11. Click Next. Then it's going to ask me, do I want to go ahead and read in the configuration, read in what IO modules are currently connected? Yes. I click through, I do a scan. It's going to pull up and tell me it sees these two modules connected to my local bus, and it's going to ask me how I want them represented. Do I want to pull from the existing DTM catalog, or do I want to do something generic or something custom? I want to pull from our pre-existing modules, so I'm just going to let it use from our configuration. And once it's gone through and done the comparison, we'll see these show up on the left-hand side. Should take a few seconds. There we go, finish, and now we can see the two modules on the left-hand side. Now what this does is this pulls in the base configuration from the DTM with the default configuration. So I'm not looking at what the online configuration is for the module. I'm just looking at a base configuration for these modules, so I can set it up and change it. If your modules are already configured in the field and you want to pull the configuration from the field, you can actually go under the parameters and go into an online parameter function to pull that information. But for here, this is the first time we're setting it up. So we're just going to double click on the modules. We can see some basic descriptor information. This is all locked in and you can't change it. I can actually add some basic information location on where I have this, an equipment identifier, anything like that I want. I can go under the system behavior. Now this is a digital input output module. It has very little configuration that's involved. There's two key things. What happens in a fault? Under default, we set all outputs to 0. Do I want them to maintain last state? I can make that adjustment here. Or do I want to adjust the filter times for the digital inputs? I can make that adjustment here also. By default, if I don't want to adjust any of these, I can just leave it go and move on. And then I can look at the analog module. Now this is a more complex module. It'll have a lot more configuration behind it. I still have the basic identifier and setup information that I can do. But under the parameters, now I can go under the individual digital inputs and analog inputs and analog outputs, and individually configure them for what I want. So for the way I have my system wired, I'm going to leave channel 1 at 0 to 10 volts, but I don't want to leave channel 2. I have a 4 to 20 milliamp sensor on channel 2, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then on the output 2, again, I have a 4 to 20 milliamp sensor. So now I can apply and OK my changes. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking these changes and storing them into the configuration of the software, not the IO module yet. When all my configuration is done and you've gone through everything that you want to set up, the last step is to go onto the bus coupler, go to parameters, and go download all. Now I am pushing the parameters for the bus coupler and any modules that are on the local bus and pushing them into the memory of the IO modules. One of the key differences in these and some of the modules we've used in the past is these modules all have a non-volatile memory. So when I configure it, it's configured, and it's configured for life. If I take this module off and go put it into a different IO station somewhere else on the plant, let's say I'm here working at my desk, I set up the IO station, I pull the IO station, I put it in a box, I ship it to my customer. They can install it knowing that it is ready to go, pre-configured out of the box with no additional changes that have to be made. Now, on top of the software doing the configuration, you can also go through and do some basic diagnostics with this tool. Since we're already going online and we're reading reading configuration information in and out of the device, they went ahead and they added some extra features into the Startup Plus because they understand that there's a lot of times we're going to configure the IO. We're going to put this into a machine. We may not have access to the PLC, and we may want to do some verification of our wiring. So they added a feature into this that will allow me to go under the IO module, and I can go under the function and do an IO check. See that now that you see that I downloaded my parameters, this is all showing up green, telling me that I'm online to my device. And because I'm online to the IO device, I can now go and turn this refresh on, and I can see the current status of my digital inputs and my digital outputs. You can see I have a little jumper here on terminal 73. Let me pull the wire out. So my digital input went low. Now my digital input went high, so I can see the status of the inputs. I can also go to the outputs and force outputs on or off to be able to check my wiring. And the cool part about this is there's always that running decision on how do you want to do it. Do you want to enter the binary number? Do you want to enter in decimal? Or you want to enter in hexadecimal? Well, we allow you to do whatever you want. If you're a hexadecimal fan, you can put in your 00000F, click write value, and you will see that we fire all those bits inside of that module to turn it on. If you're a mechanical guy, you've never dealt with the programming side of it, but you want to turn a bit on and you're not sure, well, what bit is what output? How do I decide? They even went one step further, and I can go, you know what? The wire that's connected to this terminal, I want to turn it on. You can see when I move my mouse over that, it changes to a click, and I can just simply click, and I've turned that digital output on. So this allows the guy building the panel to actually connect up with the software and just physically test the connections. Oh, the output's on. Do I get the reaction I expect to get? Is everything wired correctly down the road? Now, this is great for the digital modules. We can even go as far as the analog modules. We can do the same thing. So I'm going to go to function IO check. Analog modules are a little different. With an analog module, we're actually reading a scaled range. So what I'm going to do is I open up the analog input. I go ahead and I check the ones that I want. For this demo, what I did was I took my analog output 1 and wired it to analog input 1. So I just basically simply put a jumper between these two lines. I go ahead and click my refresh on, and what I'm going to see is whatever this output is indicating, I will read on this input. So being an output, I can force it. So I'm going to grab my slider and I'm going to move it. And I'm going to put it at 6.49 volts. And you can see my scale jumped up because I'm forcing the output, but I'm actually reading the input. Actually, what I'll do is I'll take the output off the scale so you don't see that. So you're just seeing the gray line for the input. And now if I adjust it real slowly down, you can see the value adjust down inside of the graph. Now, this is not a true high-def graph. It is giving you basic information enough for troubleshooting purposes. So if you need something more in depth, you're going to want to bring a meter in there to do the measurements. But if you're just trying to get a general, is it working? Am I getting some type of a value out on these devices? You can actually see the variation here just by simply going through and using this adapter. So it gives you the information you need to be able to do basic troubleshooting in the IO system. Again, if there's more information you need, you can always right click here and you can go into the functions and find data sheets for wiring, things like that to help go even one step further to figure out what's going on inside of your station. So the project or the Startup Plus software not only gives you the configuration, it gives you diagnostics and setup tools to really give you everything you need to really get the station up and running and functioning before we really have to bring the PLC involved into it. The other great part about this is I've had a lot of questions where people are like, well, this is great. I don't have my IO yet. I don't have it set up in the system. I'd like to get started ahead of time. Well, that's easy. You just simply file. Let me close this project. I don't want to save this. And oh yeah, sorry, I did close. Oh, so I'm in a blank project. What am I going to do? I'm going to go over here. This time I'm going to do an Ethernet IP station. I'm going to just drag the bus coupler over. Oh, I'm sorry. Still making me do it now. So we're going to do a new Ethernet IP station. And then I'm going to do a cancel just to keep it from pulling in the configuration so that I have the BK. So we'll do file new. We'll still go through and add it in normally or add the BK, but cancel the rest of it because we don't want to read anything in. We don't have a real station. But now what I can do is I can go and drag and drop whatever IO modules I have in the system. So again, let's say I have that DIO module. I can just simply drop it in and it'll give me the configuration. And let's pick something that's more complicated. There we go, a UTH module. So now this is an IO module that supports thermocouples. So thermocouples, that requires more configuration, because what type of thermocouple do I have to it? And what type of temperature scale do I want to read from it? So if I go in here, because now I'm in an offline mode, I just simply double click on the thermocouple, go under parameters, channel 1, and go, I want this to be a linear voltage, or do I want it to set up for cold junction compensation? Wow, I can't say that word. If I go under like channel 2, I can drop down. Sorry. If I want to set up any type of external resolution inside of the configuration, I can go in here and go, well, what type of temperature do I want to read? Do I want to see a digital value of 1 Celsius per digital 1? Do I want to see 0.1 Celsius per digital 1? So that basically means if it was 100 degrees Celsius, do I want to see 100 as my decimal value? Or if it was 101 degrees Celsius, do I want to see 1001 to represent that digital value? So you have all this extra in-depth configuration that's available for you for these devices. And it even go to the level of, let's throw in something even more complicated. Let's throw in a Rs232 module. This is a serial communications module. When you're doing serial communications, there's a lot more stuff to configure, because you have to configure what type of serial communications you want to do. Where you can do, am I doing a transparent, an end-to-end, X on, X off, my bus RTU? Am I trying to do RTU communications? I could set up my baud rate. I could set up my parity, my data with my parity. All these features that normally would require programming inside of your PLC, we can handle for you directly here in the software. Download it to the card, and you're done. So it's a really great tool. Great tool for the customer use. It's a great tool also as a sales tool. If you just want to go out and show somebody how to configure an IO station, you don't actually have to have anything physically connected. You can just see and show what settings are available for you. So that's basically it. I've covered all there's a couple other little things that you can do with some diagnostics, but the big focus here is really the initial setup and being able to do that IO check. Those are the really big features outside of it that can really help sell the AxioLAN IO. So, Zach, I don't know if we got any questions during that.
Yeah, there was one, Jason. It's about IO Link, and okay. The question is, would you use this to set up IO Link on a station?
You can use this to set up the initial configuration of IO Link channel. So IO Link is a protocol. Basically, it's a digital channel that can support a communications protocol. So you can use it to set whether the digital input and output or the IO Link channel is a DI, a DO, or IO Link. But that's as far as you can go. We actually have a new software tool that's just coming out called IO Link Conf that does what I just said. Plus, it allows you to use the IODD files associated to the sensor to do the full configuration. So you can do the base configuration here, but the IO Link Conf, you'll want to use that for the full configuration. That will probably be my next training series that I do, will be on that new IO Link Conf software, which is on the verge of being released.
All right, thanks, Jason. That was the end of the questions. We're looking forward to that IO Link Conf presentation you're going to give. I'll say Q4. Does that sound good, or you want to wait till next year?
No, right, we'll call it Q4. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. zstank@phoenixcontact.com, jhaldeman@phoenixcontact.com. We'll take any questions that you got, and we'll see you on the next event. Thank you very much.